This one is trying over and over again. So this could be a group of males that have come together towards the watering hole and met up with a number of females and their calves. Highly interesting behavior. Ginny has just said that it's almost like a Waterbuck party out here. I can only agree with you. It does seem like it is a little bit of a party out here. What's quite interesting that you've just said is that the giraffe do something quite similar. That's exactly right. Giraffe do something a bit similar to this. They move away from the male, and in doing so, they allow another male to come in and take over if it can. And if it can, that is giving that female the best gene possible. I didn't know that that was the case with Waterbuck, so I've just learned something new. There's another male coming in here. There's another male. Jeepers. Debbie, I think this just might be the mating season, huh? You know, it's what's the date? It's the 30th of April, so their gestation is around 7 months. So what is 7 months from here? 7 months from now will be around December, January, which means that is going to have the greenest grass, the most lush grass. Therefore, it is much easier to bring up a youngster in that environment rather than the harsh conditions of the winter season. So it's very clever to start mating now. And that's what most antelope will be doing at this time of year. So we'll probably be seeing quite a bit more of this over the next couple of weeks. There's some elephants that have just arrived at the watering hole. We've been sitting with these waterbuck for so long that we didn't even notice the ellies coming. How's it, guys? Welcome. Look how excited they are. They're so stoked. I hope they get right in that water. Oh, look how thirsty they were. They were so thirsty. Gee, but Sydney's dam is where it's all at the moment. So Wildy is taking some awesome videography of these elephants drinking here. Look at that. You can see them in a row there. And there's a youngster in the middle of that breeding herd. So it really is this wind that is influencing all the animals to come towards the watering holes and the open areas. I wouldn't be surprised now if a giraffe just walks into frame. How cool they just drink. And I wouldn't be surprised either if some predators walked into the scene, purely because there are some young waterbuck here that would be an easy prey for not only a hyena, but a leopard, or a cheetah, or the lions. So spending time at the watering hole will not only allow us to see these big ellies that have just pulled in, but see all the different types of animals grazing together. That's a female waterbuck just walking on the edge there with the elephants in the backdrop. And the youngster's right in the water now. Look at that shot, all three of them drinking in a row. If you want to screenshot that, because that is a very cool picture. There we go. Taking a big sip out of their straw, pouring it down their throats. There goes the youngster. They've all had a big drink. Let's see which way the matriarch takes them now. Potentially, they might just walk straight past our vehicle. It's so cool to watch a breeding herd just move as a family unit. We've seen some families this afternoon, the Waterbuck and now the Ellies. They look like such a team. They're really moving quite quickly. They're the males, so that bachelor herd of males are together now. There are a few females there within that water crew. That's a really cool screenshot. If you want that, it's got the Waterbuck with the elephants in the background. With a starling in picture. Can you see the starling? It's a Birchall starling that is sitting on that stump with a young Ellie in the background. It is beautiful scenery this afternoon out here. And we still have the mating waterbucks. Ooh, you see a little bit of dominant behavior. There does seem to be quite a bit of hostility. There he goes. On the right, there's two. Jerain is saying that watching these waterbucks is bringing back some terrible memories that he's had at high school. Shame, Jerain, I'm sorry to hear that. It's all about the chase. It's all about courting the female and who can be. Here comes a female that's running into the scene. Oh, the males just had a little tussle there. These two are still trying to go at it. Here comes another female. She's running into the picture. It's almost a whole, it's a whole story unfolding. Here comes a male running into this group of males over here. There's a lot of hostility in that group over there. And I'm interested if we just sit there here for a couple minutes to see how these waterbuck might interact with each other. It could be very interesting. Those elephants in the background haven't moved. They've sat in that position. They came running out of that water hole, and I'm really not sure what they're doing now. Because they're not feeding. It seems that they're just looking around them in all directions. It looks like they're going to go back down towards the water. Yes, Ellen, the females are casually saying no and going off to graze on some food. So they're not that interested in the males this afternoon. It's so cool to watch that young one running beside his family. So that doesn't look like... Are they going to get back in the water? Yes, looks like he's going to run in. Seems like they went back up on the hill and they're like, do you think we're going to need some water? Should we refill fuel again before we go back out? It's amazing. What made them decide to go back? Because they got halfway and then they went back. They're making me very thirsty just watching them drink like that. Have you? Do you feel like you could have some water now? So this is still quite a warm afternoon. The youngster's now right in that water. He's just splashing, playing around next to his brothers and sisters. They look very thirsty. It's like they haven't been to the water in quite a few days. That's probably what happened. They got back halfway up the hill and said, when's the next time we're going to see water? Let's drink up. So that hostility between... There's a fight going on over there between two male waterbuck just behind the trees there. There they go again. I'm going to keep quiet so you might be able to hear the sound of them clashing. Everyone's going to go and take a breather. This all started with two waterbuck literally racing past us. I know they were. This really is a social for the waterbuck this afternoon. Let's go back to the Ellies because they're still drinking loads. Let's see them. It's because that youngster's playing there. There's so much going on, from drinking elephants to fighting waterbuck. I don't know. Now there's two fighting again. It's too hard to choose. Look at them. They really... Oh, wow. Are they going to go again? Contact. There they go. This is very cool to watch. Two waterbuck fighting. See how they engage there. There's more elephants coming into the scene. There's one group leaving. There's another one coming in. This can't be. This whole sighting is just unreal. What is going on? Hey, Vilby? Crazy. What is going on? And it's a huge breeding herd of elephants. So the one herd has just had its drink full, and now we're getting the opportunity to watch a whole another group of elephants. They're coming in by the number. There's another group of youngsters. We haven't seen elephants on the property for quite some time, and now we're watching two breeding herds drinking. And I'll tell you what, those elephants are not concerned about these waterbuck fighting in the slightest. I don't think they've noticed at all, Debbie, that they've been fighting over here. So let's see what these elephants get up to. How different are they going to behave towards the water? They've had their drink. It looks like they've already had quite a nice filling. Let's see if they walk in this direction. There's two males that are wanting to fight again here. I think those strong winds, as you guys are noticing, is putting all the animals on edge. We've got two of these males fighting again. There they go. They're just going behind a bush. There they go. You can see the one to the left of it. They're locking. Oh, you just can't see it. Just missing that action. Let me try and reverse. So, as you guys have noticed, as we said, everyone's feeling a little bit on edge, yeah. And in these moments, especially when males are fighting and they're being distracted like this, it puts them in a huge bit of vulnerability to the predators. The predators, if they're here, will be able to sneak in a little bit better because of their distraction, the distraction of these females. It is a very big group of males here. So the elephants have now... Wait, hold on. These guys look like they want to confront. Tim, you would like to know what watering hole are we at the moment? We are at Sydney's dam at the moment. So it's not on our property. We are sitting on our what's it called? The cut line, which means that we can't traverse on that property. So that's why we're viewing it from the edge here. That's almost better because we can see everything from a distance, and we've got a camera that is able to zoom in to every single bit of action that might be happening this afternoon. You can see how the wind is really blowing in these trees around us. The sky is grey. There will most definitely be a little bit of rain a little bit later. Probably not right now. In the next half an hour or so. As you can see, it's quite thick. Let's get a last little look at that elephant breeding herd down there. Let's see what they're doing now. They're having a good drink of water. They seem very thirsty. I really hope that this breeding herd will make its way towards us and we can view it a little bit closer. But if not, we've had such a cool sighting from a distance on them filling up for their water the rest of the day. I don't think I've seen this much action at Sydney's dam ever. Well, I've only been here for a month, so but it's been quite an encounter. Is there anything else that we might have missed? I don't think so. So let's take a little drive down. See if we can have another view of those elephants. Let's have one last look at these ellies from this distance, and then we're going to turn around and head towards Buffy's Dam, which might be a whole nother encounter. These two, oh no, they're not going to fight anymore. So let's turn around, let's go and see how James is doing. We've been very, very fortunate to see all of this encounter, but we want to go back towards Buffy's Dam because earlier we were very lucky to have found the female lioness that looked heavily pregnant. So if we can go back in that direction, see if we can find her, see if there's something changed, or if, who knows what could have happened. Potentially she's giving birth right now. We don't know, so we have to go and find out. In the meantime, go and see how James is doing.
Some kudu, everybody. And these kudu look particularly chilled to the max, David. Do you like my local young parlance there? Chilled to the max. Totes chilled. Toast chilled to the max. Excuse that, everybody. I'm trying to remain young, you see. I've just done a walk through the block between this road and the one to the sort of left-hand side of your screen, or behind the back of your head, actually, and couldn't find any tracks of Karula and her youngsters, and these kudu are not looking particularly worried about life, so I doubt that Karula's in the immediate vicinity with her two babies. But her tracks have not come out of this block, so we'll just do another little circle around, and while we do that, we'll enjoy what other wonders we might see. It's turning quite blustery again, you can see that. And you might also see that the light has faded. And if David tilts up to the sky, you will see the scudding clouds. Apparently there is rain on the way here. I'll believe that when I see it. And there is never a good chance of rain here, it would seem. You say, is there a good chance of rain? I don't think so. Rebecca was in Nelspruit. Oh, sorry, quick link, bird of prey being mobbed. Let's go and see.
Just as we were trying to leave Sydney's watering hole, we see a bird of prey that's being mobbed by a whole bunch of other birds. To me, from this distance, this looks like a gymnogene. I think it is a gymnogene. It's flying around us. And it's been mobbed by a number of birds. There we go, you can see them. Small birds. So otherwise known as an African harrier hawk. Great filming from Goldie. So, that was exciting. As you can see, I'm sure James hasn't had much airtime. We went from watching these elephants. Those elephants are gone now. I didn't even see them go. So let's get going. Let's go towards the next watering hole. Who knows what we might encounter along the way. Let's go back to James and see what he's doing.
Well, that's exciting. No doubt that Gymnogene was about to try and steal some little baby birds out of a nesting hole. But I guess it got its comeuppance. No chance of rain, I don't think. The weather report says otherwise. Rebecca is on her way back from Nelspruit, which is to the south of us where the rain comes from. And she says it has been raining where she is. But I believe Djuma to be a rain-free zone, so I don't think there's going to be any rain here. But it is blustery, so maybe we'll get a few spits. There is a bird. It is a yellow-billed hornbill, and the reason I'm going to stop for just about every single bird is to see if I can hear any alarm calling at all from potential spotters of Karula. Every animal out here, the squirrels, the birds, the antelope, everything else, is a potential help for us in our search for the Queen of Djuma and her little babies. And that is because they will alarm call at her. She terrifies the wits out of just about everything here except the hyenas and the lions. But that hornbill looks pretty totes chilled to the max as well, don't you think, David? Yes. On we go. There's some more birds in there, and they are also very good alarmers. Those are called grey go-away birds, and as we look at them, just down below there, Dave. See them there? Right here. Closest tree. That's it. There we go. Got them. Tim, you want to know if there are private game reserves that you can go into in the Kruger and some that you cannot. Tim, we're in a private game reserve pretty much within the Kruger National Park. There are none in the Kruger that are kind of no-go areas, but there are lots that you're not allowed to go into unless you have a booking. So let's take Singita Lebombo or Hamilton's Camp. They are private concessions within the park proper, a little bit like the one we're on now, and so public access is restricted unless you happen to have a booking there. They're very nice camps, but then so they're distinct from the public camps like Skukuza or Satara, where you can just pull in and have lunch if you like, and then carry on your way if you happen to be a day visitor. You can't do that at Djuma or at Londolozi or Singita or any of the reserves here in the Sabi Sands. Grey go-away birds, not doing much. You can see they've fluffed their feathers out because it's a little bit chilly with the wind blowing through. They think it might rain. I disagree with them. And Anne, you say it's freezing cold and pouring rain in Durban. Well, that is interesting. Durban, of course, for anybody who's not familiar with South African geography, is about, what we say, about 600 miles from where we are now, about 1,000 kilometers. And I think this is certainly the wind that we're feeling, Anne, is the front of that front. But whether or not it's ever going to hit us, I don't know. I hear me doots. James Henry's old hat. You have used a term that is I don't agree with. You've used the term weather experts, and you've said that I don't have much faith in weather experts. I don't believe that the term weather expert should ever, in fact, be used, let alone the belief in what they have to say. James, at least James Henry's old hat, I'm going to hand you over to Sam. I'm just going to stick my head in here on foot and just quickly see if I can't spot Karula. See you just now.
So we have just walked, well, not walked, we've just driven probably about 500 meters from Sydney's, and we've come across a very small breeding herd of buffaloes. And you can see they're starting to move off. They're quite skittish. This wind is making them very nervous. You can see them moving. They're moving towards the road here. So we'll watch them move across the road. We can tell that it's a large herd. We're not the largest, small large herd, because there's females. It doesn't seem to be any youngsters. I'm actually having a look to see if there's any youngsters. But there is some males there. There's a male over there that's walking across now. Very cool. And everything is looking slightly skittish out here. So it's quite interesting to watch this. And this would probably be one of our better opportunities to watch predators. Predators come out to play because animals are feeling nervous. I'm a little bit excited at the moment. There's just been so much going on. My cap's flying off. There go the buffalo. They're heading off. Awesome. We'll say goodbye to those buffalo for now as they move off. Rich, you were asking, did the Cape Leopard Trust ever recognize the past inheritance of the cheetah in that area? I think that was your question. You know, that's a really, really good question. I studied learning around what animals used to be there, you know, from the eland to the Cape lion that used to walk around Cape Town many, many, many years ago. But I never really researched the cheetah, and I'm not sure if the cheetah was in the Cape area. I'm pretty sure it was before the influence of humans. But that's an interesting question. We didn't do any research around cheetahs in the Cape. It was mainly just the Cape leopard. And as I said, I never saw a Cape leopard. They're very, very scared of humans. They've been hunted for a very long time. Jeepers, my wind. So the wind is blowing my hat off, and there's something just in the front of us. It's an impala. It's another harem of females of impala just ahead of us. Jeepers, there's so much out there. It's going slowly. You can see they're looking at us quite funny. They're a bit nervous. This wind is making them cautious. I'm not going to give them too much of a big fight, so I'm just going to come in slowly and even have a little look around to see if anything's lurking around this little breeding herd. Not breeding herd, harem of females. Let's see if we can see the male. Who can spot the male in this group? There's the male. There he is. So that male will be looking after that group of females, and he'll do his best to look after those females over the next week or so. He gets very tired. He gets very tired over a week because he can't groom himself or look after himself at all. And so he'll then be A hippo out of water. I just saw that. Oh my word, what luck we are having today. A hippo out of water. This is something you will not see often. At first I thought it was a boulder. I did not know what to think. And then I just made out a hippo. This is something you will not see. And I wonder if the wind is causing any of this, the weather conditions. It's definitely the weather conditions. If it was a hot day today, this hippo would be far away from... Sorry? It would be as close to water as it can be. It would be sitting inside that water. It looks like it's grazing. So it's just off our property, so we're not able to actually go any closer. See if we can see it. But this is an awesome sighting nonetheless. And we know that hippos will graze at nighttime generally. That's why we don't really see the hippos during the day out of water. So to be seeing this is a huge bit of luck that we've had this afternoon. If we're lucky, the hippo will turn around and show himself. Thanks, Joe. Well, it hasn't just been me, it's been Wildy, who is our camera operator. He's been spotting. The other day we were on Cheetah Plains and Wildy spotted in Kanyeni, which was a very, very good spot. There he is. See if you can just see his head pop round again. Those impala that we just saw up to the left. So they've relaxed quite a bit since we last saw them. Can't see the male anymore. It's interesting. It's nice to sit with animals in these conditions because you can really see how skittish they are and how aware of their environments they need to become when it's daytime. It almost becomes like night with the impala, and as you know, we don't go out at night often. So you can just see the front of the head of that hippo grazing now. I'm going to keep as quiet as possible so that we can view this. I have never seen a hippo graze before. Look at the eyes of the hippo as it grazes. We have been granted much luck today as we watch this hippo move during the day and graze. He's moving off now. Wow, that was so cool. That was so cool, everyone. Maju is major, so that they've seen a hippo eating part of a rotten carcass. Maju is major. I've never actually noticed that myself, or never seen that or heard of it, but you know, animals will sometimes graze. I'm just going to see if we can get, if that hippo comes out into the shot again. I'm just going to wait, just while I answer your question. I'll see if I can see it. So hippos will, you know, well, not just hippos, many other animals will, if they are nutrient deficient, will do what they can to collect the nutrients that they need. Much like giraffes will eat the bones sometimes of animals, they will collect the calcium that they need to restore that sort of need in their body. Also tortoises do that. Tortoises will eat the dung of certain animals, like a hyena's dung, and that'll help the development of their shell. So I wouldn't be surprised if a hippo was starting to eat on a carcass, because that would help develop maybe whatever nutrient deficiency it might have. Very, very lucky to have seen a hippo out of water during the day. We saw a hippo out of water during the day. So Tim's asking, how many kilometers can a hippo move on foot compared to that than in water? How fast is a hippo on land versus in water? A hippo is much quicker on land than it is on water. I'm not actually sure what the speed is that a hippo can get to. I just know that they will be a lot quicker on land, which is something you wouldn't think, because they're very, very big animals. They're actually just, you know, it looks like they're floating and swimming in water, but most of the time they've actually got their feet on the floor, on the riverbed, wherever they are. Jerain just said that you love how small those hippos' ears are. Yes, Jerain, they are quite small. They are very small. Well, that was a very cool sighting. Let's go and see how James is doing. I know that he was on foot looking for some cubs.
So there is this sort of weather blowing in, and you can see, I suppose, what might constitute a small amount of mist or moisture coming in with it. But, yeah, I don't think it's going to rain. Oh, there's a beefalo. I must tell you a story of a buffalo, everybody. It will have you clinging to your seats, your toes cringing. That's not actually true, but I just thought I'd sort of beef it up a bit. Excuse the pun. There's a buffalo. And while I was walking, looking for Kurula and her little babies earlier, I was walking through the bushes, looking fervently at the ground to see if I might spot the tracks of the cat and her kittens. They're not kittens, they're cubs, of course. And I looked up, and there was a buffalo, not unlike the one you're looking at now, but cleaner than this example. And he was staring at me. He was about 10 meters away and looking at me as if to say, are you mad? Are you going to ever stop, or are you just going to keep coming until you step on my horns? And thankfully I saw him. I sort of froze momentarily, turned and moved away very quickly. And I survived, everybody, I survived. Aren't we lucky, David? Yes, and this guy has got fewer horns than the one I saw. This chap has only got one horn. See that? He's missing a horn. He might even be missing two. Oh, that's a lovely picture that I've got you, isn't it, Dave? Fantastic. There we go. He's definitely missing one horn. And I think much like this buffalo who is chewing his cud quietly, the leopards will be in some very thick bush now, sheltering from the wind. The youngsters will be vulnerable to cold at this stage, so I think they will probably be sheltering from the wind somewhere in some deeply thick bush. We're going to head out of this area and see what else we can see. Maybe we'll be very lucky. We found tracks of shadow this morning. They were quite old, probably from last night. But because they came out of the block where we followed her yesterday, I think perhaps she's killed in there. And either she's finished the kill and she's gone back to her babies, or she's gone to fetch them. So we'll just drive around that way and have a look. No elephants today at all. Very distressing for me. I know you've seen some elephants with Sam, which is very nice. I, of course, have seen no elephants. I just drove through a pile of fresh buffalo dung, and I have to tell you, you know that feeling you get when you pop plastic paper? You know that bubble wrap, when you pop bubble wrap? Driving over a fresh buffalo patty gives you the same feeling, but multiplied by about 25 times. It's a profoundly satisfying feeling going through a buffalo patty. I know many of you won't get to try that. Hello, Catherine. You want to know if Jamie and Brent are on leave? Yes, they are on leave. Not sure what else I can add to that story. Yes, Brent and Jamie are on leave in Johannesburg. Not sure what they're doing. Catherine, I hope you're not missing them too desperately, but they will be back. Jamie's coming back, I think, on Monday, and Brent in about a week after that. Brent, of course, has gone to see a doctor about his ailing hip. Right, we've come down into the Modalawati again for the last time today. I'm done driving through this drainage line. I've done it 3 times today already. I'm finished. We'll head across to the western sector of Juma now. Always very quiet when the wind is blowing, except for young Samuel, it would seem. He's doing a rather marvelous job of finding all sorts of interesting things. Oh, there's a fresh buffalo patty. Oh, so nice. It's going to be a good one. R. Beard, you're interested in the dangers of hippopotamus. Now, I'm sure many of you have heard that a hippopotamus is the most dangerous animal in Africa next to the mosquito, of course, the Anopheles mosquito. And R. Beard, you want to know how true, there's a monkey over there, how true this is, and whether or not, you know, they're more dangerous in or out of the water. Let me just stop here, and hopefully you'll get a view of those monkeys leaping into that beautiful scotia tree. No. They went up there somewhere. Just one scuttling across. Okay, never mind. R. Beard, they are certainly easily threatened. Now remember, no animal is inherently dangerous, but a hippopotamus out of the water is very nervous. It is nervous because it seeks the water for protection, and without the water it feels extremely vulnerable, and therefore it can be very dangerous out of the water. So you saw that one out of the water, obviously not that affected by your vehicle, but on foot you really do not want to come anywhere close to a hippopotamus if he's out of the water. And there was an incident at a reserve not too far from here about, when was it? It was probably about 8 months ago, where a young ranger was walking with her tracker and in sort of this kind of habitat, I guess probably the same kind of habitat where you had that hippo out of the water, middle of the morning, so unusual for a hippo to be out of the water. And they were tracking an animal, and that hippo came out of the bush and grabbed her. And it was because they were inadvertently had separated the hippopotamus from the water, and so it was a very kind of accidental thing that they did. But the hippo became so threatened that it charged, and it grabbed her by the arm, dragged her. The tracker grabbed the rifle, or she dropped the rifle. The tracker grabbed the butt end of the rifle and basically beat the hippo off her. And the hippo then ran into the water. And thankfully, on the back of their vehicle, their guests were trauma nurses. So they took care of her. She's absolutely fine. She's guiding again now. She does have a nasty scar across her bicep. But yeah, the hippopotamus, not something to be tangled with. And I mean, that was totally inadvertent. It's not like they were tracking it and therefore creating a situation where it could be vulnerable. So our beard, yeah, a hippopotamus, something to be nervous of and very wary of, especially if you're on foot. Not considered part of the Big Five, of course. Now, that's quite interesting. And thank you very much that you're all... Thank you that you're pleased that I'm... thank you for your kind comments of joy that I've survived my buffalo encounter. And Lisa, please don't worry. I'm not running over any dung beetles when I hit a buffalo patty. There are so few dung beetles around, none at this stage of the day, at least of the season. So I'm not worried about that at all. I certainly wouldn't be doing it in the height of summer. I just wanted to finish one other thing. Oh, yes. Oh, look. Starling, David. Cape glossy starling. Oh, beastly bird. Flown off, the only sighting we've had. Well, other than that buffalo. You've heard the term Big Five, of course, which is a horrible term because it refers to the most dangerous animals to hunt. And it's the most unfortunate term. But what is interesting about it is that the hippo, despite the fact that it is supposed to be... There, it's right there. What is it gathering? Look what it's gathering. I can't see what it's picking up. Grass seeds, I think. No, it's bits of... Yeah. What is that? You see, Dave? No, it's termites. It's termites. There are a whole lot of termites on the ground there. That's unbelievable. This is fantastic. And all the termites, I think, are probably coming from that bit of wood you can see at the top of your screen there. What an absolute guts. I wonder if he's not taking them back maybe to feed a youngster close by. Perhaps on the tree that we saw him in. They nest in tree holes. Off he goes. I'll just quickly go and retrieve one of those termites for you and I'll show you what he was getting. But I will look for buffalo first. I'm going to get bitten here, and then I might squeal like a small child. That's a soldier termite, but not the same kind of termite. Can you see it there, Dave? Yes. Not the same kind of termite. Oh, gosh, where's he gone now? That builds the mound. There we go, he's biting me now. He's satisfied. And these guys are called harvester termites. You can see they've got the black head, and they don't build a mound. They just take the dead plant material they eat down into the ground. Is he gone? Okay, good. I just feel a bit bad that I've moved him from home, but he's not far from home. I'm sure he'll make it back. That was interesting. So quickly, the hippo, of course, is not considered part of the Big Five, and that is because the hunters, brave people that they are, normally just shoot them in the water, which, of course, is puts paid to their whole theory that it's all fair game. Come on, Wendy. Crystal, what an interesting question. You say, is a buffalo's horns connected to its nasal cavity? And you say, sorry, I'm just listening to the Game Drive radio. No, never mind that. You say that if you dehorn a goat or a domestic cow, they will often bleed from their noses. And I mean, I've seen plenty of dehorned buffalo like that one, plenty of dehorned impala. I've never seen them bleeding from the nose because of it. Crystal, that's very interesting. I don't know, but I imagine that the system is the same. I mean, impala is basically a wild goat out here. And a buffalo is basically a wild cow. So I don't know. Very nice question. Right, we're going to Treehouse Waterhole now, Lake Treehouse. Might do some windsurfing there. What do you think? Maybe kite surfing. It's more modern, like my language. Totes. Totes fantastic to do some kite surfing there. Legit. It's totes legit. Oh, curious one. You're just, I know you're not, you're probably about as much a youngster as I am, but you say that you thought you could either be toast or chilled, but not both. No, I mean, you can be totes chilled. That's a very hip abbreviation of the word totally. So totally chilled, you're totes chilled. See how modern I am, Dave. I'm so modern. What a modern man. Okay, I'm afraid there's nothing at Lake Treehouse. There never is when I come past here. It's very depressing. Let's go up to where I last had Shadow's tracks. All right, while I do that, let's head across to the totally legit Sam. Peace out.
All right, so we can see that a front is making its way towards Juma and towards us and to wet us out here, but we have just come across some kudu that have now run into the thickets. They were right here. They are also very, very nervous and skittish. There's a big group of them. So as you can see, it's blowing quite a lot out here. The clouds are pulling in. Let's see if we can locate on those kudu again. They just ran into the thicket here. There's a whole group of them. There we can see them just, they're camouflaged. So we're busy looking for the lioness that was heavily pregnant a bit earlier. You can just make out those kudu in the thicket there. Just make out, and that's actually how you want to see a kudu. Well camouflaged, that stripe, almost, those stripes on its back blend in perfectly to its environment. Big ears, there we go, very nervous, very skittish. We're going to leave you. Let's not make you any more nervous than you are. So what we're doing is we've got a couple of us that are walking, and not walking, cheapers, my words mixed up. We're driving on either side of where the lioness was thought to have moved into. And I think, she was very heavily pregnant. So my guess is that she's gone and found herself a nice little place in the drainage line somewhere to give birth, somewhere where she's not going to be hassled by vehicles and other predators or other animals. So hopefully the next time we see her, she might just have a few cubs with her. There goes another waterbuck that's heading off into this distance. You're not going to be able to see it. It's gone now. So hopefully she's gone off and found herself a nice closed place where she can give birth peacefully. That's what I would like for her this afternoon. But we'll just drive this slowly. There's a kudu running there. I don't know why it's running. There's 2 now running. 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm very nervous this afternoon. Wonder why they're running. What are they running from? Probably just the sounds of the wind. They might just run ahead of us here. Here they come. They're going to run onto the road. Are they going to run onto the road? No, they're not. They've probably just run onto the road on the other side of this termite mound. As you are well aware now, someone's just getting hold of me on the radio. Just hold on 1 second. Go ahead, Mike.
Yes, I've driven all the way down here, all the way to Central. Nothing on the road here in terms of tracks. I did take a very brief walk up onto the crest, looking into the drainage, but not too much.
Copy, Mike. We're just making our way now on Gwari Pan. We'll see if we locate on anything, but my guess is that she's got herself nice and hidden up somewhere. Alright, so it was myself and Mike that were looking around this area to see if we could find the lioness. He's gone to look in the drainage line quickly to see if he could relocate, but she's gone somewhere and most likely having the cub somewhere nice and secretive, which is what we would want for her. On that note, we're going to head in this direction. Maybe we'll pop out, we'll pop into her. Probably not though, that's my guess. We'll see if we can go and relocate on a leopard somewhere around this area. We know that Karula and her cubs were close by. I know James has been looking for Karula and the cubs. But we could just go and look in this area to see if we can find anything that might be happening. We're going to go to Vildy's favourite road, Ledwood Road. Is that right, Vildy? Aggressive dung beetle. Why are you an aggressive dung beetle? What? A very cool name. Aggressive dung beetle. Aggressive dung beetle. Yes, hippos will give birth in water. Never seen that before. That would be a first. But that is the answer to that one. It's much safer for them to do that there. So if we look to the right now, as we come into this clearing, you'll start seeing that cloud coming in to this area. I'll just get to this position here. Look at that. So, temperature's dropped. We've got our jackets on. It's going to rain later. Hopefully not just yet. The sun's going to disappear in a matter of seconds. That's going to change the environment even more. The wind's blowing even stronger. My cap's been flying off. At least Mr. Ellie's going okay over here. I had a tweet earlier that I should call it Elvis the Ellie, and I really like that. I think it's going to be called Elvis the Ellie. So, while we continue on our journey to see what we can find, let's go and find out what James, Super James, is doing.
What I'm doing right now, everybody, is throwing the cameraman under the bus. He's not, in fact, on the vehicle right now. He is currently enjoying a slight pit stop. You will see that the vehicle is now moving, and David is back. There we are. Okay. I love doing that because I can just tell the panic that ensues. Anyway, well done, Dave. Everything dealt with?
Yes.
Oh, good. I'd like to have to stop mid-flow. There is a picture of the grey rain coming in, and I think that rain may actually get to us. It's definitely raining around about where Rebecca was going. Oh, that's beautiful. I'd have to take one of my brilliant photographs. Sorry, we're a bit muffled there. That is because I did my jacket up. I'm going to take an amazing photograph of that. I'm so good at photography, Dave.
No, James.
I know, yeah. You're going to be so jealous when you see this photograph. You're going to be totes jealous. I'm afraid I have found no sign of Shadow's tracks here, so we're just going to drive about and see what else we can find, I'm afraid. I hope that's okay with you. If it isn't, you're welcome to tell me. Right, here we go. Oh, my goodness, David, you just can't believe the skill of this particular photograph. You'll be so amazed. Wait, I need to tune it quickly, because this totes amazing. Hashtag many filters. Hashtag more is more. Oh, stunning! Stunning! David, can you believe it? I mean, look at that. Absolutely incredible. There we go, everybody. Louise says my horizon is skewed. That is because Louise has clearly gone squint between the start of drive and now. The horizon is not skewed, Louise. There is a slope on which we are taking this photograph. Hashtag mind your own business. Hashtag let's get going and try and find something to look at other than listening to me talk rubbish. Right, Yusa, thank you. You say my photography skills have improved. In actual fact, what's happened is that all I've done is managed to get a decent app that covers over my inescapable lack of photography skills. But thank you, Raisa. That is the difference. My poor mother, again, is going to be subjected to many pictures of the sun. Oh, Marianne, thank you. You're sending me a virtual tissue. You say, are my sniffles due to the wind? No, Marianne, I've got a small cold in my nose. And for the last little while, I've been sniffing myself, but this is the first time I've had to sniff on drive quite so much. There is an impala, everybody. Astonishing sighting. Stop running away. Yes, good. Now, he looks to be limping slightly, I think. Tote's been bashing his head against another impala. I think that's why he looks a bit bruised about the head. Definitely, actually. Definitely been fighting. I don't know if you noticed that, everyone. Did you notice how he looks exactly as Louise says, like he's got a black eye. I'm sure that's from bashing his head against other impalas. Let's see if we can't get another look at him. For those of you who don't know why they'd be doing that, it is because they are in the middle of the rut, which means it's their time of mating. I've still got Shadow's tracks here, but going the other way, and that's from yesterday evening. Don't see them coming back yet. I'll just try and get around this tree here. Maybe back a bit. Oh, stop moving, you cretinous antelope. There we go. And he's also quite young to be fighting, you know. He's not quite in his prime yet. He's probably about 2.5. I know he's had some serious fight. It looks like his whole front end is stiff. And it would be, of course, if he'd been fighting. He'd be very stiff around the shoulders and around the kind of chest region from bashing his head, and he looks like he's walking as if he's very stiff there. That's quite interesting. Not sure I've ever noticed that before. Ooh, Sam has got a pile of poo to show you.
So, in front of us we can see a number of shells, white shells that are here. And this is the remains of many, many different animals that have been, wow, that's incredible, that have been defecated by a particular type of animal. And this animal is called a civet. So if I just bring this a little bit closer here, And look at that. You can still see part of the outside shell of this, which looks like a millipede, a dead millipede that has just come out of the civet. And it's a civet's midden. So this is where the civet will come and defecate and show its territory. So it's a territorial thing for the civet. And I think I've only seen a few civets in my life. So Wiem just spotted this out and explained me the process of how that works, because I didn't know that we had them around here, like middens around here. So it's a good spot to see this midden and learn a little bit more about how the different cats work out here. So hopefully, if we're lucky, this afternoon, this evening, we'll be able to see if we can find ourselves a civet or a serval or something interesting, because the weather conditions have made things quite interesting out here, so we don't know what we might find. Let's just expect the weirdest, craziest, funnest, entertaining afternoon we can get. Put on your jackets, everyone, because you can see that it's going to get cold out there. Freezing. I just put mine on. I feel like I'm in Cape Town at the moment, because Cape Town gets pretty windy. So in Cape Town we also get the civet, we get the large spotted genet, and the small spotted genets. Just putting on my earpiece so I can hear all your lovely questions. And I used to sit at home. Well, where I worked in Cedarburg, I used to relax there and look after all the children that came up to Cedarburg on the weekends. And I had this little kitchen. And every single night I would come into the kitchen and a little genet would be sitting eating my muffins. Well, eating all the muffins for the kids. So I didn't have a very good relationship with genets when I was working up in the Cedarburg Mountains. That's okay. They really enjoyed my muffins. Raisa has just informed us that a midden is called a civet tree. A civet tree, so a place where it goes and defecates every night to show its dominance and territory to that place is called a civet tree. Do you see how incredible this is? You know, I've been very privileged and lucky and fortunate to come out to the bush here and not only learn and grow myself, but I can learn through all the viewers about what they know about this bush. I'm also privileged to have people like James teaching me lots. Because of course, you know, you can learn a lot about something, but if you're not like growing and living in this environment for a long time, it can lose from your knowledge. And I haven't been in the Sabi Sands for about 2 years. So it's been so cool coming back and relearning and everything. And as soon as I get told about things again and how things worked, it just comes back straight away. So that's what's happening. LeBeau Bob is asking, is the civet, the genet, and all these cats we're talking about, are they cats? Sorry. Are they cats? Yes, they're part of the feline group. They're part of the feline group. So if you look up the felines, you'll find civet and all that. Actually, do you know that a genet's actually quite similar to a mongoose? It's actually more similar to the mongoose family. The civet. Sorry, the genet. The genet is very similar to the mongoose family, more than the feline family, which is quite interesting. I read that today, actually. I've been studying every day, and I was studying the felines a little bit more, trying to learn a little bit more about their social structure, because we had a great morning with cheetah this morning, watching the cheetahs run across Mala Mala. Wow, look at this getting thick out there. So Zoe, where would that civet manage to go and collect all those shells? Well, it obviously defecates them and it eats millipedes. So a civet loves millipedes, loves to eat scorpions, loves to eat all those little creatures that have those exoskeletons, and therefore defecates them out. And that's where it it defecates all the time. So it's not just once on an occasion. It's happening every single night or so. And he goes to that area. And that area is called a civet tree, which we learned from Raisa. So it's all very interesting. Okay, I hope you guys got your rain jackets on, because it is going to rain very, very soon. Ooh. There are hyena tracks going down here, going up here. So there's things been happening in this area. What might we find on Leadwood Road? Eric wants to know, are hyenas dangerous? Eric, they can be dangerous. They can be very dangerous. If you sleep at night time, I don't know, are you saying dangerous for humans? Because, you know, if we're sleeping out in the bush at night time, it is dangerous because they'll just come and take a bite out of you. Bite out of your head, bite out of your arm, and you'll just be sleeping. So if you have no one on watch, they are very, very dangerous. I'll never forget my first night I ever slept in the bush. We had to take it in turns. We had a hour section in the night. So from 1 till 2 was Sam's slot, and I had to have 2 lights, and I would go walking around the camp, just checking to see if there was anything there. And they all said to me, all the other trainees that were at the Londolozi training with me, they said, Sam, you know, please be careful of the hyenas. Like, make sure that you stay up. I'll have a look at those hornbills, the yellow-billed hornbills that are sitting on that stump there. That's very cool. So they are not flying because of this wind. Yeah, they do look quite cold. They look quite chilly. Ooh, what's it doing? It's very cool to see a yellow-billed hornbill. We already have that on our bird list. But if you don't, write it down. If you're a new viewer and you haven't got a bird list going, get one going now and write down. Ooh, what's also quite cool is look at the... Sorry, I just spotted after we look at that yellow-billed hornbill. Just over there is a kudu. Sorry, I just got a little bit of a fright as I saw its ears popping out. It's a young male. Just want to turn this down. Alright, so that was just a quick spot of a yellow-billed hornbill. So, Aaron in New Zealand has just said, Sam, did you have the gymno gene on the bird list? No, I didn't, Aaron. So that has been written down. But, jeepers, so much was happening down at Sydney's watering hole earlier that I didn't quite have the time to write that down. I was going to do that and report it a bit later. So there we go, we've got some kudus that are moving around here secretively this afternoon. Things are slightly dangerous out there at the moment as the wind picks up. So Aaron, write that onto your bird list, the gymnogene, otherwise known as the harrier hawk. Cool, so we've got another bird to our list this afternoon. That was a very cool sighting, eh? Tim's asking, do birds yawn? Well, I've never seen that. I don't think so. That's my answer. I've never seen them yawn. But just to finish that story I was telling you about those hyenas, I was moving around all night looking for something, and then all of a sudden these hyenas came out of nowhere, and there was 2 or 3 of them that walked into our camp. And so I didn't really know what to do, so I went and woke up everyone. I just started pulling on their legs and saying, guys, there's all these hyenas coming into camp. And then they were all like, Sam, all you need to do is just shine your lights at them and that'll be fine. That's all you got to do, and then they'll run away. So I didn't have to wake up everyone. So if you're sleeping out in the bush and you see a hyena, don't panic. Just shine a light at them and it'll be okay. No need to wake up the whole camp. Yo. All the antelope are collecting together in groups. What else might we find this afternoon? The reason why we're driving Leadwood is because we're going to see if we can find some tracks of Karula. Karula warrior cubs. It's getting quite thick now. Those clouds are getting thicker. We'll slowly come around this corner. If we see Karula and her cubs now, I'll be very surprised, as it is very windy. While we have a look around this area, let's just go and see James, because he's with a big elephant.
Finally, everybody, some elephants. And they're unfortunately about to cross into Simbambili. We are on the border between Juma and Simbambili, but a wonderful sighting of them here. They look a little bit agitated, not quite happy. But it's so lovely to see them. And this wind, of course, I think will probably make them slightly unhappy. Here comes a fairly substantial bull. Hello, big fella. He's probably about 30 years old, same age as Brian. Doesn't look like he's in must. Just about all the bulls that I've seen in the last month or so have been in must. Let me just turn slightly. We'll get them going across the road, if they do cross. And you can see how they're huddling together, and I'm sure that's because of this wind. You can see it's howling through the trees there. Wonderful to see them. And the grass, if you look carefully here, is starting to turn a very kind of wintry, pale, yellowy green. And as it does that, so they'll move more onto browsing than they will grazing. I'm going to turn all the way around now. Please excuse the wind if there is any in my microphone. Nothing I can do about that, I'm afraid. There they go. They're going into Simbambili now. Oh, look at this, a huge herd. They've obviously just been given the order by the matriarch, and the whole herd is now moving in. So lovely. And Zoe, you're wondering what I did, what I bribed them with to make them come here. Well, you know, I just asked nicely. They like me. They don't like me that much that they're going to hang around for any length of time. And I think what they're doing is heading for One Eye Pan, which is a nice freshwater pan on Simbambili. They're just on the, well, maybe not. They're actually a little bit south of that. We can sort of follow them. Oh, dear. Assuming I can make this car start. That is the road, that's the kind of border there that we can't go. I mean, we can drive that one, but we can't get any north of there. Oh, there's more coming behind us. They're all over the place. Don't know where to look. Let's just stick with this bull, Dave, I think. And you can see he's moving away from us. They're always a little bit more nervous in the wind. Hello, Violet. You're just 10 years old and you live in Oregon, where there's lots of rain in comparison with the amount of rain that we get here. Violet, you want to know how long an elephant's trunk is? Well, it depends how old the elephant is. A baby elephant, which is newborn, probably has a trunk about that long. That's about 2 feet long, 2.5 feet maybe. And then a big bull like this, which stands about, he probably stands about 9 feet at the shoulder. This big bull here will have a trunk that is probably about 6 feet long. Now, I don't know how tall your dad is, Violet, or maybe you've got a tall mum as well, but 6 feet's even taller than me. Dave, you're about 6 feet, it's about the same height as David, our cameraman. So that's a very long nose to have. And Olenek in Michigan, a very clever question from you about whether or not an elephant would push down a power line pole. The answer is yes, I'm sure it's happened. I have never seen it happen, and I think it's unlikely. Elephants don't push things over just for the sake of it. Always. Sometimes they do. Sometimes a bull elephant will become so irritated, perhaps he's irritated by his state of must, and then he might well push over a power line pole. But elephants are very sensitive to electricity, and they also don't tend to do things without a reason. And the main reason an elephant pushes a tree over is to get at the foliage at the top. They know there's no foliage at the top of an electricity pylon. They can also feel electricity, and they don't like it at all. So I think those two things combine to make them, sort of choose easier targets if they are either hungry or very irritated. We'll wait for this chap to move a little further in. We can go down this road, and then we'll follow the herd along. He doesn't look to be in must to me, so why he's hanging around the herd, I don't know. Maybe he's just a little bit lonely. The bulls, as many of you will know, spend all of their time alone. And you can see he's a bull straight away by the curve of his spine there. And you see his spine is very curved. He has, I suppose, what one might term a bubble butt, if you like. I was accused of having that. Cat in Tampa, you say that his bubble butt looks extra wrinkly. Is there something wrong with it? No, I think it's a fairly standard wrinkliness. I do see what you mean, though, just under his tail there. No, I think he's just probably got a bit more skin than most. I don't think there's anything wrong at all. The term bubble butt, of course, was given to me on a walk once, thanks to VM. And, I then went and investigated what a bubble butt is, of course. And it was a terrifying, scarring emotional experience watching the music video called Bubble Butt. I don't recommend you do it. Certainly not after a meal. Hello, Sideman. Sideman, you say that we keep mentioning the wind, and what effect does it have on predators and prey, particularly elephants? Why would it have any effect? Well, on this bull elephant that we're looking at now, it doesn't have an appreciable effect, except that he is following a herd on whom it has definitely had an effect. Now remember, when it is blowing like this, imagine you're in a forest, Sideman, and part of your major defensive mechanism against being eaten by a predator were your ears and your nose. If there is a big wind and it is blowing from one direction, it means that predators can approach you from upwind very easily, at least from downwind very easily. In the same way, they can approach you from downwind without you being audible. And so for the impala and the duiker and the wildebeest and the kudu and the nyala and all those herbivores, this wind represents a severe threat to them. The other side of the coin, the nyala, or at least the prey, the predators, is what I'm going for, lions and leopards and wild dogs and cheetahs and jackals and other things like that. They love this kind of weather, especially the stalking predators like lions and leopards, because they can get through this bush without being smelt or heard. So it's much easier for them. Now, an elephant has, I think, an evolutionary memory of a time of predation when they used to be preyed upon by many different things like saber-toothed cats. And so they react in much the same way as many of the prey species do here, in the same way as many of the herbivores like impala, many of the antelope. And so in a windy, cool day like this, when they can't hear and they can't smell properly, they get nervous, and that's why the little ones were rushing across the road with the adults. The adults had told them, right, let's go, let's move into a new area. And the bull, not so much. He doesn't give too much of a hoot, but he's clearly sticking it just behind the herd, probably because he's a bit lonely. It's all gone down the road here, I think. This is the border between us and Simbambili, or between Arathusa and Simbambili. And it is very thick in here, so unless those elephants are on the road, we're not going to follow them off the road. But we might get a last look at Bubble Butt going through to the west here. There he goes. Yeah, I don't know that we're going to get a better view than that, everyone. Oh, here we go. We'll get a shot here. Oh, the whole herd is here. You might walk out in front of us. Julia, you're in Houston, and he's just in front of us. Look how cleverly he's hidden from us. He's only about, I don't know, 50 feet away. There he emerges. Julia, you want to know if they're affected by the storm? Well, yeah, the storm is basically the wind. I don't think it's going to rain, and it just makes them nervous. And you know, if you go outside during a storm, you'll find there's an element of you in your evolutionary history that makes you nervous. We've got nothing to be nervous of in storms now, but they still make us a little kind of, ooh. You know, it's one reason why horror movies are always set during an enormous storm. I'm just going to quickly call these elephants in. Stations, there's a breeding herd of elephant mobile west from the junction of Simbambili Cut Line and Parallel Road. There we go. Pamela, you say, are elephants' ears, there we go. They're on the road now. Just watching us quite carefully there. You saw there, you see that? Turning the head to the right. And that's watching us. Pamela, you say, are their ears naturally ruffled, or are they torn up by the thorns and things as they go along? Pamela, they are to a certain extent naturally ruffled, but they definitely get worn away and torn as the elephants go through life. And sometimes the cartilage becomes floppy inside the ear, and they actually fold over, and they start to look like Snoopy, I suppose. Correction station, that herd is moving south, down parallel with Parallel Road. Raisa, a wonderful question from you, as always. There's a nyala. Let me stop and look at the nyala. The elephants are going through this very thick bush, you can see, and this nyala, you see him there, Dave? The nyala there, everyone, is doing precisely what all of the other antelope species are doing now, getting into the thick stuff to get away from the cold. But they'll have to, as it gets dark, move out into the open so that they can see, because sight is their only defense now. So, Raisa, while we look at that really calm and relaxing nyala there after the elephants, you say, why do they push over, not nyala, elephants, push over marula trees when they love the fruit so much? Surely they should be clever enough not to sort of destroy their own delicacy. Raisa, the answer is Well, it's a lovely question, of course, because we don't really know the answer to that. The answer is that most animals, I don't believe, think like that. I think if you consider how poorly human beings even consider the consequences of their consumption, I think it's unsurprising that elephants should be less cognizant than us. But at the same time, Raisa, I don't know that elephants don't perhaps push over male trees more than they push over female trees. Remember, they do not push over the trees to get at the fruit, because the fruit very cleverly ripens on the ground. And the most clever part of, I think, a marula's evolution and ecology is that it drops its fruit before it's ripe, so that elephants, because it needs elephants in order to spread the seed, basically. So the elephant and the fruit has to pass through the digestion. The fruit has to take 74. The fruit has to pass through the digestive system of an elephant in order for it to germinate. There we go. That was take 74. And very cleverly, the marula tree knows that if it doesn't drop the fruit and let it ripen on the floor, the elephant will push the tree over. So I don't know that elephants, when they push marula trees over, and I don't think it happens that often, I'm not sure that they're not pushing over male trees. It'd be interesting to know if they aren't clever enough to do that. Right, so let's move on from here. We'll leave our Nyala peacefully browsing his way through the darkening woodland. And David, yes, you are absolutely correct. You say, why don't prey animals hang around more in the open areas during the day when it's windy like this? Surely there's better visibility. There is, but it's cold. And so if they can see when they're in the thick bush, I think they don't worry too much. If if their eyes are alert and they can see what's going on, I think they'll move out into the open as the ability to see disappears with the falling darkness. So it's a very astute question. Grief. Sandy, there is a whole suite of things we need to address in your question here. First of all, you say, you know that we have all said it's not safe to walk in the bush. No, I've certainly never said that. It is entirely safe to walk in the bush if you are aware of what's going on and you know what's happening. I've been on 4 or 5 forays into a block today looking for a leopardess with cubs. I don't have a death wish. I have no macho need to stand my ground against the leopardess. It's perfectly safe if you know how to react to the animals out here. So that's the first thing. The second thing is you say, it kind of follows on from the first though, how is it that those people were running down the airstrip this morning, and if you didn't see it, we had a very hilarious sighting of a group of people running down the Arathusa airstrip. We were enjoying a sighting of zebra. Suddenly the zebra scarpered, and we found the reason. And you say, how can it be safe for them to do that? Well, it's safe for 2 reasons. One, that you saw how the zebra reacted to them. So most animals will see us as prey, at least as predators, and will run away. Those people pose no threat to those zebra at all, and they ran away faster than they would have if those had been lions jogging down the airstrip. Okay, so that's the first thing. The second is they obviously had a vehicle with them. So if they'd seen anything like a herd of elephants coming, or a buffalo, or a lion, they would have just jumped in the car. The other aspect of your question is that you say that you heard of a leopard taking a man off a bicycle, jumping a man on a bicycle there in California. I don't think it was. I think I know the story you're talking about. And I'm pretty sure it wasn't a leopard so much as a cougar, a mountain lion. And you'll probably find that I think it was probably a freak accident where he either rode between, I mean, it happens with bears, where hikers or bikers ride between a bear and her cubs or a lioness and her cubs, and then it is possible. It's always possible to have an accident in the bush, but it's much smaller, for example, Sandy, than driving a car. I mean, we get in cars all the time and we drive around and we think that we're not taking a risk, and then we say we'll go for a walk in the bush and people go, oh, I couldn't possibly do that. It's probably much more of a risk to be driving around in a vehicle in California than it is to be going for a walk in the wilderness. In fact, I would put money on it. So, Sandy, nice question and a nice opportunity for us to discuss a whole suite of different things, especially in the absence of any form of animal to look at. Robert, I'm going to stop here while I answer your question. And I'm going to get out of the car so that you don't have to look at my mug. Well, just in my mug in the car. Robert, you say, is there any truth to the rumor of an elephant graveyard? Now, there's a reason I'm getting out here. Robert, first of all, the short answer is no. There is no truth to an elephant graveyard. An elephant graveyard does not exist. Will you tell me if my audio goes? So what we have here, Robert, this kind of ties into what you were asking, is a pan of water. Now, around a pan of water like this, you might imagine that this was a river, a longer river, and it is sort of the beginnings of an old river. And what grows around here, Robert, is much softer vegetation. We get grasses like this, much softer, and if Dave pans all the way to the side there, you'll see very soft grasses growing in what is called a seep line. Now, what happens is that when an elephant gets old, its teeth start to wear down. It gets 6 sets of molars, and those molars eventually wear down, and when they've worn down, the elephant will starve to death. And so it comes into an area like this. It doesn't fall around like I just did, and it eats the soft vegetation. And then it dies. Eventually it starves to death and dies, and what happens? It dies in a place like this where there is a huge amount of mud and water. And so those heavy bones sink to the bottom of the water and into the mud, and we don't find them. And also, when they don't do that, even though some of them are extremely large, hyenas are extremely adept at eating different kinds of enormous bones. So the bones will be distributed by scavengers. So the reason people thought there was an elephant graveyard is not because they ever found a great collection of bones. It's because they never found elephant bones and couldn't work out how these enormous animals could be dying all over the place, and yet their bones could never be found. And that's the reason. They die near water, and where their bones go into the thick water. Otherwise, what happens is the hyenas will definitely eat their bones and take them away and carry them off, and that's basically why we don't have elephant graveyards. I hope that answers your question. I'm now fumbling about trying to plug myself back in. There we go. Okay, on we go. Hello, Tim. You say if you come to the Sabi Sands, would you be able to meet us and the others? The answer is depends where you're going. If you go to Arathusa or to Cheetah Plains, yes, or Voyatella and Galago, which are on Juma, then absolutely you can meet us. Those lodges will probably bring you round to us, and you can come and see the final control and see what happens there. And you can meet us just before we go on drive, and it would be an honor to meet you, Tim, with whoever you're traveling with. But if you go to, say, to the south of the reserve, to Londolozi or to Singita or Lion Sands or Mala Mala, the traversing agreements just don't allow for it, and they're actually very far away. So, I mean, it would take you a couple of hours to get here from Lion Sands, for example, and so then it won't be possible. So if you're staying at Arathusa or Cheetah Plains, it is well possible. And like I say, it would be an honor to meet you. All right, let's head across to Samwise Gamgee and Pippin, see what they've found, and we'll drive around here, hopefully finding Shadow's tracks.
So it is quite cold out here at Treehouse Dam. As you can see, there's not much happening here at this watering hole. Nothing at all is happening over here. Just a very, very cold Sam and Wiem. It's very cold. Just suddenly the pressure just dropped and got cold. Are we listening? Trying to find out anything. You can see those clouds were not looking very good. Zenos would like to know how many birds I have on my list now. Zenos, the amount of birds that I've probably had in total with everyone, I put it in my bird list thing here. So this is my notebook that I have. This is my facts on hyena. We don't want that one. Whoa! A wind! She is blowing. She was... Yes, it's not easy to get to my bird page when you've got the winds blowing like this. So, we've got about 23 in terms of the harrier hawk. Of course, we've seen a few more than that. I've seen a lot more than that, actually. But we haven't seen it on drive with everyone. Every single time we're sitting with a bird, it flies away just as the camera comes in, which is quite annoying. But, you know, at the same time, there's no race to get through all the birds. It's just about seeing what we find at the time, talking about the ones that we enjoyed and like to hear. So we've got a harrier hawk to add to that, which is otherwise known as the gymnogene, which I'll do at my desk when I go back. Yep, my spotted eagle owl was there. I was very, very excited about my greater spotted eagle owl. So it is all there. I update it when I go back to my desk. I've got my own little desk at the camp. That's what I do in the evenings when I come back. I write in my journal about the different things that I saw that day, what I learned. And I write in the viewer's book. I've got a viewer's book over here, which is this one, notes received from viewers. And I write down all the different things that you have sent to me, from dragonflies versus damselflies to scent marking, you know, sitting with the scents. And then that day when we sat with the wild dogs, I wrote and did a few things on wild dogs. So everything that's an aardwolf, we haven't seen the aardwolf yet, but everything that we've seen and talked about, I've written and drawn out. So all your comments, all your information that you send to me via Twitter, everything is stored in a little bank over there, and it helps me learn. So through the experience I'm learning, and through the viewers I'm learning. And I can't tell you how much I've been learning. It's just ridiculous how much has been trying to get into this small little brain of mine. And I don't know if we've told you, but we've actually got a new member to the WildEarth team. We went out today, and I found a red-billed buffalo weaver. Well, I didn't find it. Someone just gave it to me on the side of the road when I was talking to my dad on the phone. And it was a young baby red-billed buffalo weaver that fell out the nest. And I totally forgot to talk about this. So we tried to put it back up in its nest, myself and James. And who else was there? Dave was also there. We tried to put it back in the nest, but it didn't look like it was going to do too well. And so I've actually got a picture here of... Sorry, my phone's dead. I've got a picture of I'll send a tweet out of... Well, that's quite ironic, a tweet out of the bird that we've got at WildEarth at the moment, and hopefully we're going to try and bring it back to life I don't know, it's not looking in good shape at all. It looks like it's a little bit paralyzed and hurt its leg, but myself, James and Kirsty and all the different people that are keen to look after the bird are going to do our very best to bring that little red-billed buffalo weaver back to life. It would be the second animal that I've tried to bring up from a position where it's been injured, like my little squirrel. Monty the positive squirrel was an injured little squirrel, and then we took him in and we tried to get him, you know, get him better, make him feel better. And then he was alive for about a whole year and a half before he died after that. Which wasn't very nice. I was quite upset when that happened. But hopefully our red-billed buffalo weaver will do fine. So, we need to do a little refresher on the taxonomy. The Feridae is part of the genet and mongoose family, and the Felidae is the other of the others, like the cheetah and the leopards and all that. So the Veridae is the mongoose family that includes the civets. So what we'll do is we'll write down the taxonomies this evening. Well, that's what I'll do. And just get that comparison going so we can understand that a bit better. I often get confused with taxonomy and the different animals in their family groups. So the Veridae and the Felidae. Lady Macbeth, yes, those are my sketches. I've been trying to remember everything again, you know, just like the taxonomy of all the different Felidaes and Veridaes and everything out there. I need to learn the social structures over again. It's been a while since I've been back in Impala on the road here, jumping across. I've been trying to relearn everything out in the bush, and the best way for me to learn is to draw the pictures of these beautiful animals and then write out, you know, everything that I know about it, from the scientific name to the family group that it's in, to the social structure of a cheetah, of a lion. And that's just been the way in which I've tried to bring that memory back. And I also just love drawing, so it's just a useful way of learning. I really would, suggest to anyone that wants to learn a lot that drawing can really help your learning process. It's what I used to do when I was at university. I used to draw all sorts of stuff to try and remember all my different notes for all my essays that I used to write. So it's starting to get darker and quite a bit cooler. We're gonna drift through here and see if we can find shadow or any of the leopards that were on the property last night. James is with a herd of impalas, so let's go and see how James is doing with the impala.
I just wanted to show you, everybody, how they have done mercifully, as I said they would. They're now coming out, easing out of the woodland and into the open area in order to try and see what might come and eat them. You can see this is a sort of man-made clearing here on Arethusa called knobthorn clearing. That is a knobthorn tree that they're all grazing underneath. So while they are sticking to each other and close by for warmth and sort of a little bit in the lee of that tree, trying to shelter from the wind, they are definitely out in the open now, hoping to be able to spot something that might want to try and eat them. I can see nothing that might want to try and eat them at this stage, which is a great pity. anyway. We're not going to shine the light on them. I just wanted to show you that it is getting dark, and they are having to cope now with the dark as well as the wind. This is ideal hunting conditions for a leopard or a lion. So, Erin and Angela, you're in California, and you say that the big cat's there, or the big cat that you have, is becoming dangerous because of a lack of food, that the habitat is being so diminished by human beings that the cats are becoming a danger to humans. Well, that's obviously always a possibility, and certainly it has happened in India, where the conflict between leopards and tigers and human beings has certainly escalated in many areas. And that's because the pressure of human beings on those animals. I'm astounded that in a country with the resources of the United States that should ever be allowed to happen. But, you know, there's no accounting for the human being. Certainly, it's the only time that an animal out here, or a predator out here, will attack a human being, is if it is very hungry, sick, injured, or infirm. They are terrified by us animals, and they will only in real desperation go for a human being, the predators, that is. And interestingly, I mean, the sort of subject of man-eating cats is Brent Leo Smith's absolute favorite, just next to the hyoid apparatus. But what he does make mention of is the fact that, not what that he makes mention of, but what a lot of people will tell you, and what you read, is that once a predator here has a taste for human flesh, what was that, David? A duiker, never mind. Once it has a taste for human flesh, it will never try and eat anything else. And that is not true. It's not the taste of human flesh, it's that they discover how easy we are to kill, A, and B, how absolutely defenseless we are. We don't make too much noise, we don't fight back, we don't have sharp teeth or claws, we're in fact incredibly weak for our size, and so it becomes just very easy for an animal to kill a human being. So once they've done that, that's why normally if an animal kills a person, they will be put down. But I mean, we were talking about the danger of it, and both Sam and I did these unarmed walks that we call them, where you walk through the bush completely unarmed for 10 days at a time, going back to camp each night. But it's not that dangerous if you know what you're doing. We wouldn't do that if everything out here wanted to eat us, I promise that much. Well, I wouldn't. Some might. Tony, old boy fish, you make a very good point. You say Sam was telling you about the red-billed buffalo weaver. I'm not sure how much detail he gave you of the actual rescue affair, but you say it's probably quite a good emotional outlet for us because there's so many animals that we're unable to help, and perhaps this sort of makes us feel better. I think that's very astute, Tony. I think that's probably very true, and it wasn't going to be the case. I got irritated when I heard that they'd found it, mainly because I knew we were going to have to make the decision as to whether to keep it or whether to put it out of its misery or what to do. So, I don't know if Sam told you, but we ended up, I walked off in a huff, him following behind me with the bird in his hands. I said, just go and put it back in the nest and just leave it be. And knowing that it would probably be pecked to death if we put it in the wrong nest, and knowing that we'd have absolutely no idea which nest it came from. So I climbed up onto the roof of the workshop, tried to get into a tree, sort of my slip-slops with thorns all over them, the bird in one hand, holding onto the roof with the other hand, feeling really miff about the whole thing. And then we couldn't get the bird. I couldn't reach the nest, not being a large fellow. Then David had to toss a log up to me on the roof in order for me to stand on it to try and reach the nest. I still couldn't reach the nest. And the bird, I then realized, had a paralyzed left leg. And so he couldn't perch. So we couldn't put him back in the nest. And then we were faced with the awful dilemma, David, weren't we? Put him out of his misery or take him home with us. And Sam said, well, there isn't a choice. So I thought Sam was going to say, we're going to have to put him down. And he said, we have to take him home. So I climbed back. No, before that happened, I said, okay, we'll take him home. We'll take him home. Because I couldn't bring myself to put him out of his misery. And so I said, Sam, I can't climb down with him in my hands, so you're going to have to catch him. So Sam said, oh, you can't throw him down. I won't catch him. But I said, you have to catch him. Well, you're going to have to catch me. One of the two. He says, okay, I'll catch the bird. So he puts his hands up. Of course, as I drop the bird, which is about 2 feet from his hands, the bird opens its wings. And although it can't walk, it glides fairly effectively. And unfortunately, it flew into a wall. Oh! Sam was beside himself. I said, well, what could I do? And then I climbed down. The bird seems no worse for wear. I mean, it's not in a good way, but it doesn't seem any worse for wear for having flown into a wall. We then took ice cream container with tissue paper in it, and then we made it some Pro Nutro, which is a sort of fortified cereal. It didn't want any of that. I don't blame it. It's disgusting stuff.
So you are back on the vehicle with me. I don't know what James was telling you on that story with that red-billed buffalo weaver, but I'm sure he was telling you the whole story and the truth that was behind that. All I know is it's exciting that we have a new member to the team, the red-billed buffalo weaver, otherwise known as Buff, if it's a boy, or Buffy, if it's a girl. Not quite sure yet on the gender. Hopefully it will survive the night. That's what we're hoping. I don't know if James is too sure if it will. We really are hoping, but it's a very injured bird. It seems to have fallen out of its nest during this horrific winds this afternoon. It wasn't in a very good shape. Do our best to bring it back to life. So we're looking to see if we can find anything this evening. As I said, the wind is now going to cause even more havoc in the night time because it's dark, it's windy. Animals are scared, nervous, they can't smell the predator. You can just imagine a predator's walking around now, slowly through the thickets here. What's that? What is that? Can you see it? Is it a little... So I think it's a steenbok. I have to see ears. I don't know if it's... I'm just going to shine above it. Sorry, I think that's in the way. Let me just go in the... Could be a rabbit. Let me just get it in another position. I don't want to shine in its eyes. Yeah. I don't know what that is from here. Can't see it there, Wilde. I can most definitely see that. I just can't get a good visual of it. I've just, in my mind, I thought for a second, is that a serval? And it's just hiding behind that tree. So, Maybe let's go from another angle. Yeah, you can see those lights, the eyes there. Can you see those all? Just gonna go a little bit more forward. Yeah, so it's a steenbok. It's a dake or a steenbok, something small. Yo, just got a fright. Thought maybe that was something like a serval, but it's not nice to shine. This will blind the animal if you point it for too long at an antelope. So a good thing that we are leaving that alone. We saw a serval the other night, which is very cool. Connor was in the front of the car, and we took them all out on a night drive. And Connor spotted a serval in the bush, shined the light, and there it was. Very, very cool sighting of a serval. Only the second time I've ever seen it. Hopefully this evening we might just be able to bring that little bit of luck to you. But if you, from noticing those steenbok, that behavior of them was very still, so they were just sitting in that position, two of them. So I noticed that there were two sets of eyes. And steenbok, the other name is the stone buck. So they were sitting in that position as still as they can, just like a stone. And that is a strategy that they have of defense, or of camouflage rather, into their environment. You can imagine predators just walking right past them. Something else in the open here. There must be some antelope. As we're not coming towards Sandy Patch, so it seems that there will be a few antelope out this evening. So you have a story coming from you from James. Good luck. Believe in as much of it as you can. Jokes. We'll see you just now.
So sorry about that, everyone. I'm not sure where I left off, but basically we had Kirsten feeding the bird water from her finger. She was dipping her dainty finger in some water, and then the bird would kind of sup it off the side. Nobody's ever seen Kirsten be nice to any organism before, so it must be a very sweet bird. Then we tried to give it fortified porridge, and it didn't want fortified porridge. It thought that was a really bad idea, and it sat there looking miserable. So we put it in its little nest, and we put it in the camera ops room. Now, of course, Viam is very protective over the camera ops room, because the tech department of Connor, Eugene, and Alex basically are about as neat as buffalo weavers. And if you've seen a buffalo weaver's nest, it is not a neat thing. And Viam, of course, is fastidiously tidy in the camera ops room. So when anything is out of place in there, he gets very upset, and he blames the tech department, except he walked in there, and there he found an ice cream container containing a morose-looking black bird. He said, he came rushing out, and he said, "Who's put a dead bird in the cam-ops room?" And so Sam, of course, ran out and said, "Is it dead? Is it dead?" And I thought, oh God, well, rather now than later when everyone's attached to it. Anyway, Sam rushed in, found that it was still breathing, and he gave it some sugar water. And so that's the last we have heard of the bird since our departure for game drive. But now, of course, the reason for my irritation over the whole thing is that I know that this can only end one way, and that is sadly. And I get very attached to these things. And I know that either the bird is going to die because we don't know how to feed it properly, or it's so damaged, you know, I mean, it is paralyzed on its left, which means it lists to port horribly. So either that's going to kill it, or we're going to raise it just to the age where it's sort of able to fly away, and it's going to be sitting on a branch one day, and as we come back from game drive, there it will be greeting us with its little chirpy calls, and a goshawk will fly down, and of course it'll not know what a goshawk is, grab it and take it up into the top of the ziziphus tree above the camp, and we'll be forced to watch it be devoured while we wail underneath in misery. Anyway, I can't see a positive outcome for the thing. But now we're so invested, there's nothing we can do about it. And so I know there's a very kind of morose outlook on the thing, but it's going to make me sad, I can tell. And that it fills me with dread. Maybe we'll be very lucky and the bird will fly off in happiness. And as we have very little else to show you right now, I'll tell you another bird story. This is the sad story of Ellis bird, everyone. The sad, sad story of Ellis, the red-faced mouse bird. Ellis was a red-faced mouse bird, and I, at one stage of my life, had a girlfriend who was she was a forceful character, and she had a dog. And the dog caught a baby mouse bird one day. And the mouse bird was rescued by me. This was before my days of knowing how these things always end. And we rescued this tiny little thing, and we put it in a shoebox. And we had to travel, we were traveling around the place at the time, and so this bird came with us, and it ate fortified porridge, and it ate bananas, and it grew slowly but surely. And then we took it back to her house one day, and the same dog got hold of it. We rescued it again, but this time it was slightly squonk. It was a little bit sort of, had a bit of a twitch to the left-hand side. I think it sustained some neurological damage on account of Goofy the dog, the second attack. Anyway, we then took it on holiday with us down to Kenton-on-Sea, where my parents have a home. And this is a dreadful, dreadful part of the story, everyone. So just grab a tissue and listen up. Ellis the bird by then was completely tame, and he used to sit on my shoulder, and he used to sit on Barbara's shoulder. She was my girlfriend at the time. And the bird was sitting on my shoulder one day, and I was standing at the sink, and next to me was a bowl of hot stew. And you all know where this is going. The bird fell into the bowl of hot stew, and it was dreadful. I plunged my hand into it, grabbed the bird out, but it was so hot. So I ran it under some cold water, and the bird was sitting there under the cold water, smelling of tomato, breedy, and saffron, and rosemary. And anyway, it was dreadful. The bird was not in a good way. And we thought we were nursing it back to health, and it was back in its shoebox on my mother's jigsaw puzzle table. And at this point in the story, whenever my sister tells it, she goes paralytic. She can't stop laughing. She has a fairly dark sense of humor. The bird was clearly in some discomfort, and so Barbara gave it, and she gave it half an aspirin. She dissolved half an aspirin in some water, and she fed this hapless mouse bird half an aspirin. And the bird then went to sleep, so we thought. But it's on a sprung floor, so every time somebody walked past to check on the bird, it looked like the bird was kind of moving, because the table would move as you walk past. You know, it's a sprung floor. Eventually, somebody plucked up the courage to go and actually look in the box and prod the bird. Whereupon they realized that rigor mortis had set in some time back, and that the bird had been moving only because the sprung floor had been bouncing the table on which the shoebox was resting. So ended the life of Ellis Bird. He was buried the next day in the garden, and a wooden placard erected over his resting place. And it fell upon me to tell Barbara of the great tragedy, and let me tell you, it was not pretty. So that is the sad tale of Ellis Bird, which scarred me against the keeping of birds, and that is why I'm a little bit worried about the already christened Buffy, the buffalo weaver. We'll see what happens with him. We'll keep you posted. Absolutely, Miss Lynn. At least we didn't rescue an oxpecker. We'd have to sneak up on buffalo to take ticks off it and feed it to the oxpecker. I think the oxpecker, to be honest, would have to make do with fortified porridge as well. Anyway, we'll see what happens. We'll discover who is fatherly and who is motherly in the camp, who is neglectful. Viam is definitely very unimpressed that it now lives next to his camera. And whether it's a boy or a girl, I couldn't tell you. Ah, thank you, James Henry's old hat. You say we should use some tweezers to feed it small bits of insect, bits of raisin soaked in water, which will keep it hydrated. We might try that. Of course, this means that we have to go and catch insects, which is not an entirely easy thing to do on a night like this. I don't want to give it any insects around the camp, and that's because the walls have been sprayed in an anti-mosquito repellent, and so I suspect many of the insects there will be poisoned by it. The only thing that the anti-mosquito repellent does not kill in our camp, of course, is mosquitoes. Mosquitoes are unaffected by the vile poison that they have put on the walls. I'm not sure why that is the case, but the other day I got into bed and I was immediately assailed by a cloud of the evil things. So, yep, good idea, James Henry's old hat. Maybe we'll start with some raisins and fortified porridge soaked in some water. Ellen, in North Dakota, you say there are bird sanctuaries around where we could perhaps send Buffy the buffalo weaver. There are bird of prey sanctuaries around, certainly. You know, if you've got an owl or a vulture or an eagle, they'll happily take them. I'm not sure about a humble buffalo weaver, though. On that note, let us head across to Samuel and see what he's managed to find.
So, an update my side is that I've only got a little bit colder and I've got a lot of sand in my eye. So I'm finding it quite difficult to look around here. Not many animals this evening, or chameleons. We've been looking to see if we can find anything out here. So if you have any questions about anything that you've seen today, enjoyed today, we'd love to know. Let me know what your favorite sighting was today. Was it the cheetah that we sat with earlier this morning? Michelle from Ohio is asking, is there any quicksand in the Sabi Sands? Michelle, there is no quicksand in the Sabi Sands. No quicksand. If there is, I want to know soon, because I often go walking on my own. To find myself in quicksand, that would be quite a horrible experience to go through. So no, Michelle, no quicksand. Thank goodness, because that would be terrible. Oh. The wind is blowing. I really hope that when we get back to camp, that there is that beautiful looking bird still going, still tweeting. Sweet little red-billed buffalo weaver. I hope he's still going. He did have one big fall. Ooh, there's something there. This car's brake sounds very, very difficult. I think it could be an antelope, so I'm just going to shine above. whatever it was, it just ran into the bush now. There it is. Yeah, it's an antelope that's in there. Don't want to shine our brights at the antelopes. They're huddling up in this thicket here because it is very cold to be an animal. Steve is asking, is the waterbuck related to the antelope? Yes, Steve, a waterbuck is an antelope. It's part of that family. So a waterbuck is an antelope, Steve. How cool is that sighting of those waterbucks? I've never seen that many males and that many females in one sighting before. So much was going on. I think I was tiring out Wildy behind that camera because I was seeing elephants playing and the other ones running, the impala running, then fighting between the waterbuck. It was all quite a commotion there. Big social scene of the waterbucks. It has been one exciting day of different types of sightings today. Penny Pine says that she really enjoyed the hippo grazing outside of the water today. Yes, Penny, that is something you won't often see, and especially when you see them on foot, when vehicles see hippos on foot, they run away as soon as possible. And we managed to sit with that hippo for about 5 minutes and watched it graze. So that was very exciting, Penny, to see that. You could really see the mouth of the hippo. You could see it chewing. So it was great to watch that. Very, very lucky to have watched a hippo outside of water. It's not a common occurrence. So hopefully, we were told earlier that, last night Tingana was exactly where we are now. So Tingana walked past our camp. Our camp is maybe 500 meters to the east here, and Tingana took the road close here. So we're driving very slowly, just in case we might see something. It's more than likely that Tingana's moved on to another property. But you just never know. He could still be in the thicket here. Same thicket from last night. He could have killed something last night and just sat in here. And we wouldn't have heard or seen a trace. You see tracks?
No, Tingana's tracks.
Going that way?
No, coming.
Okay, so Wildy just said he's seen some tracks. Which way were they going? Down?
Yeah, it was from last night.
Oh, from last night. Okay, so Tingana's tracks have left. Well, we're coming towards quarantine clearing, so let's just see what we might see there. You never know, this night just could have a little bit of commotion before we go to sleep. Put a jersey on, a jacket, I'm gonna get warm. You know what the strangest thing is? I totally forgot what day of the week was. A couple of minutes ago, I didn't know if it was Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. It's Saturday. Saturday! Till I promise you, you know what? I'm gonna see if I can switch on my phone here. Sometimes I have to slap my phone to make it start. Yeah, I dropped my phone, so it's not going through the best. I'll switch on my phone now. I'll show you guys all the picture of the baby bird. Otherwise, Dill, I'm going to post it on Twitter. Tweet a little picture of the little red-billed buffalo weaver. I wish you guys could feel this cold wind that's blowing on my face right now. It's very cold. Maybe the bush babies are going to be sitting inside the little bushes. Some antelope out on the clearing this evening. So Tingana was out here last night making all sorts of noise before he left. I haven't seen Tingana in quite some time, so hopefully I'll get that opportunity. So looking for lions has just given us a little bit of advice on how we might be able to raise this buffalo weaver. So we must get some worms, put it in a blender, and then feed it. Cool. So what we've done so far is I just fed it some sugar water, just to give it a little bit of energy that it might need. I hope that is the right thing to feed it. It was literally before we went on game drive, so I didn't have time to look up anything. Fed it some sugar water and fed it a little bit of like mashed up Pro Nutro. I don't know if you know what Pro Nutro is, but it's a cereal that is like a paste.
So I'm afraid it's going to be porridge for the next little while. If I get back home and I find that he has passed on and shaken off this mortal coil, then I'm afraid I'm probably not going to show him to you. I will, however, admit to it on Facebook Live. Sam and I will both tell you about his demise if he has died. It's not impossible. Donna in Oz, I think Australia, maybe. You are wondering if I've ever seen a leopard or a lion take a guest or find an item that a guest has lost. I have. I've seen a jacket being torn to pieces, and I've definitely seen a hat that's been torn to pieces as well. And that's because people leave, they drop off jackets and things in the bush, and then animals find them. So yes, I've definitely seen that. Let's go back across to Sam and get a quick update from him before the end.
Alright, so we're not far from camp. We've come to the end of our drive today. I had a fantastic time. I'm sure all of you guys did too. That hippo out of water was very, very cool. That was definitely the highlight of the day. VM, thank you for such great camera work behind there. And all of you, it's been fantastic. I'm sure we'll see you in a couple of minutes though when we are looking with the red-billed buffalo weaver. James, as usual, is a great accomplice and co-pilot out there. And we will be seeing each other very, very soon. So thank you again, Louise. That's behind there as a director. You've been fantastic. Have a great morning, afternoon, whatever you're doing. May you smile for the rest of your day. Cheers for now.
Back again with us, everyone. Haven't found anything else. Oh, yes we have. Look, rodent. Grab him. You got him, Dave? Yeah. I can't see the screen. Brilliant. That's a bushveld gerbil, I think, everyone. Brilliant, David. I have never seen one. Well, I have, but never on camera. That might be a first. Ha! Fantastic. A bushveld gerbil. Reminds me of Andrew Anantswamy Francis, one-time cameraman at WildEarth, who's still in India, and the time that he and I tried to catch a rat, which resulted in great screaming. The rat was much bigger than that small gerbil, though. Well, luckily only my father and I saw the errant bird fall into the stew, and we knew that my squeamish mother and sister and brother would never touch it if they knew, so we didn't tell them what happened until well afterwards. Okay, everybody, that's going to be it from us tonight. Thank you for joining us. Those of you who want to, we will try and Facebook Live from the home of Buffy. Thank you, David, for your efforts today. A big thank you, of course, to Samwise Gamgee and Pippin on the other vehicle, and, of course, to Louise Pavid and Kirsten McLennan-Smith in the final control. We'll see you all tomorrow as the dawn breaks at 6 o'clock tomorrow morning. Bye-bye.